Okay, welcome to the July meeting of the Information Technology Improvement and Modernization Projects Oversight Board. We're going to ask our newest staff member here, Heather Hamilton, welcome, to call the roll.
Senator Chambers Armstrong, Senator Wise, Representative All,
Here.
Representative Tate, here. Co-Chair Williams,
Here.
Co-Chair Hodgson.
Here. Okay, we do have a quorum, so let's move on to approval of the minutes. Hopefully everybody had a chance to review those. They were emailed out. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes stand approved. Okay, today's topic, we've got four presenters coming to see us, and basically the theme here is customer-facing applications. How do our Commonwealth IT systems look to the general public out there? We picked four of the most commonly used departments' application sites out there, and hopefully we'll hear about those as well as legacy applications and issues that we're having with those, and really just kind of try to get our hands around the customer experience for the citizens of the Commonwealth here. So first up is Kentucky Board of Elections. Karen, if you want to, Karen and Taylor and Richard, if you want to come on up. You just press your green button and introduce yourself for the record. You may proceed.
Karen Sellers, Executive Director of the State Board of Elections. Unfortunately, Richard was not able to be with us.
Morning, Taylor Brown, General Counsel for the State Board of Elections. And if y'all give me just a second to pull this PowerPoint up. All right. Morning. Thank y'all for the invitation to speak today about the State Board of Elections information technology applications and how they work. Before I walk through the various applications, I'd like to provide some brief information generally about our IT applications. First, we have no legacy systems at SBE. Everything you'll hear about today is a currently operational application. Second, outside of three applications I will talk about, those being our www.elect.ky.gov website, our web portal that services certain ADA voters, and our portal that covers voters that are covered by the Uniformed and Overseas Citizens Absentee Voting Act, UOCAVA. All of SBE's IT applications are in-house, built and maintained by the IT team at SBE. Third, to protect against cyber attacks from malicious actors, SBE owns and operates its own server farm, which is hosted securely at the COT, Commonwealth Office of Technology's Cold Harbor facility, which has connectivity and power redundancy, 24/7 armed security, and there is no access available except for 3 SBE server experts who must go through a rigorous process to gain entry. SBE cybersecurity is multi-tiered, industry standard, and tested yearly. Fourth, there are no transfers of data to or from any external entities. And fifth, users of SBE IT applications are not charged any convenience fees. With that said, I'd like to discuss the applications that are SBE built and maintained public-facing websites. Perhaps the most common way an individual may interact with SBE is through our online voter registration website, which you see here. This website allows U.S. citizens to either 1, submit an application to register to vote in Kentucky, or 2, submit an application to change information on their current record. The second most common way an individual may interact with SBE is through our www.govote.ky.gov website, which you see here. This website allows any user that is not from one of the recognized foreign threat actor countries to see crucial upcoming election information, as well as links to our online voter registration site, absentee ballot request portal, the UOCAVA portal, and much more. One of the SBE IT applications that is being used more and more with each election is the previously mentioned absentee ballot request portal. The ABR portal allows U.S. citizens to submit an application to request an absentee ballot be sent to them through the mail. A voter can then track the status of their absentee ballot in our Voter Information Center. This website also allows registered voters to see the public information available for their registration record. It also provides other voter information, such as the voter's precinct and district information. A listing of all the available in-person polling places for that voter is also available. On the www.govote.ky.gov website, you may have noticed the tab that says Kentucky Needs Poll Workers. Just as the other buttons take you to the individual sites I am detailing here, if someone clicked that button, they would be taken to this page that hosts poll worker applications. Once someone inputs their information and clicks the blue Submit button at the bottom, the application is fed into SBE's VRS system, which I will discuss in just a few slides. Continuing on with our other publicly facing websites, SBE also has an online accessibility portal, which you see the landing page of here. This site allows any user, again, not from a identified foreign threat actor country, to see ADA information for each precinct in every county of the state. All of the applications I have shown you so far are public-facing and SBE built and maintained. They are also primarily used before or during an election. The next two sites are also used before or during an election and are also public-facing, but they are vendor-built and maintained. The previously mentioned UOCAVA portal is for voters covered by the Uniformed and Overseas Citizens Absentee Voting Act. That includes those citizens serving their country in uniform, their spouses, or citizens simply residing outside of the country. This portal allows voters to securely access their ballot, which they then print, fill out, and mail back to their county clerk. It is hosted by a vendor under the name of Enhanced Voting, which provides their own security for their own sites. To SBE's knowledge, there are no transfers of data to or from external entities by Enhanced Voting, and they do not charge any fees to the voters covered under the UOCAVA Act. This also applies to Enhanced Voting's other portal, which allows voters who may need certain ADA accommodations to vote an absentee ballot. The other public-facing, vendor-built and maintained application utilized by SBE is the www.elect.ky.gov website. This website is hosted by a vendor named Tyler Technologies. Formerly, you may have known them as Kentucky Interactive. They also provide security for their own websites. To SBE's knowledge, there are no transfers of data to or from external entities by Tyler Technologies, and they do not charge any fees to voters. The elect.ky.gov website allows any user to see information regarding the Kentucky State Board of Elections and elections in the Commonwealth overall. Many of the applications I have already discussed can be accessed through this site. In the immediate aftermath of an election, this page also receives numerous visits from individuals seeking a link to our Election Night Reporting portal. The E&R portal, which you see here, is another public-facing, SBE-built and maintained application. It allows any user not from one of the identified threat actor countries to see near real-time information on election results on election night, and then it is archived post-election. Finally, the last public-facing, SBE-built and maintained application is one that helps maintain our state's voter registration rolls. If a registered voter wants to cancel their voter registration as they move out of state, or for any other reason, they can do that online after receiving a unique PIN from SBE. The next three applications I would like to present are built and maintained by SBE, but are not for public use. Rather, they are for use by county clerks and their staff. What you see here is a screenshot of the landing page for the voter registration system, or VRS, that I mentioned earlier. VRS allows county clerks and their deputies to securely manage Kentucky voter records, including new registrations, changes to existing registrations, absentee ballot requests, UOCAVA voters, street tables, legal forms, management of their poll workers, and much more. VRS is accessed through COT Citrix servers that are not available to anyone except those who are on a state-approved list, and county clerks connect securely using these credentials that are provided by COT. The VRS database is monitored in real time by rigorous security measures and is also backed up in real time and archived against failures and attacks. VRS Lite, as you see here, and as the name suggests, is a scaled-down version of VRS. The VRS Lite application allows county clerks and their deputies to securely see limited Kentucky voter information in a read-only format and is used by employees who do not need the full access to VRS. Records cannot be changed or altered in any way when using this application. Finally, VRS Scan allows county clerks and their deputies to securely process mail-in absentee ballots in real time. This application is severely limited in purpose and scope. It can only be used to scan absentee barcodes, and there is no other functionality. Voter records cannot be accessed or altered in any way using this application. County clerks and their deputies, again, connect securely to VRS Scan using Kentucky State authentication credentials issued by COT. To conclude my presentation on SBE's IT applications, I would like to point out that the vast majority of our sister states do not have in-house, built and maintained IT applications like I have just shown you. It is not uncommon for other states to pay hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars each year for private vendors to provide their states with the type of applications that I have just gone over. We should all be proud that the incredible IT team at SBE is able to save the taxpayers of the Commonwealth substantial money, and that the team has given Kentucky another opportunity to demonstrate how it is a leader in election administration. With that, I welcome any questions the committee may have generally about SBE IT applications, though I would ask that any specific questions about potentially sensitive matters related to operations and functionality be saved for a more secure setting, as Ms. Sellers and myself are always available to meet one-on-one with legislators at their convenience. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Great answers. All the things I would like to hear in terms of no legacy systems, tight security, no internal, external transfers of data, and it sounds like your customer base is well served with your customer-facing applications. One question, you mentioned the UCAVA portal. Said no one pays for that. Is the Board of Elections paying for that, or federal government pays for that? Who pays for that UCAVA?
I'll let you answer that one.
Are you referring to enhanced voting, the vendor?
Yes,
Or are you,
enhanced voting.
Yes, we do.
Okay,
I believe there is a fee, but it's not.
so it's paid by the Board of Elections and not the
Yes,
users. Okay,
we
very
pay
good.
that ourselves. That comes from our
Gotcha.
budget. Yes, sir.
All right. You mentioned the voter registration system COT maintains through Citrix. About how many people have access to that? Is it just one account per county clerk out there, or ballpark?
It would depend on the size of the county. There are, amongst our smaller counties, just the clerk has
okay.
access. Jefferson's going to have, I'd say, ballpark a dozen accounts, give or take, because of their enlarged voting office. It just depends on the county.
Okay.
I might add there as well that SBE does pay that Citrix fee on behalf of the counties, which is
Okay.
a considerable amount of money that we're responsible for. And I will say that sometimes during election, there is, a couple of additional people added, maybe smaller counties add their deputy to get through that 60-day period before and after the election But other than that, SBE is responsible for those fees as well.
Okay. Last question, VRS scan, you said, is that an online scanning app? Does it take the place of a voter scanner tabulator?
No, it's the barcodes that the absentee ballots have affixed to them. When it comes in, they've got the kind of the gun you would use at a grocery store or something
Yeah,
to scan
yeah.
a barcode. They have something similar to that, and it just scans that the ballot has now come in
Okay.
to the office.
Tracking the movements of the ballot as opposed to recording the votes on the ballot.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
There are 3 barcodes that they use. One that goes out, so they know that the post office has, that the ballot has been delivered to the post office. Second, when it comes back, and third, when they begin the processing 14 days before the election.
Okay, thank you. Senator Williams? Good.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm going to ask this same question to everybody. So if we had a statewide, like we tried to do with One Stop, identification, authentication, authorization system, could your current systems interface with that? Did you interface with One Stop? Is it possible to have a statewide identification, authentication, authorization front end?
I'm gonna have to be honest that I don't know enough about it, Senator. I'm welcome. I'm more than happy to find out an answer to that question, and we can meet again one-on-one. But I just don't know enough about that.
But all your systems require a user to identify themselves, or are they anonymous?
Not the
access?
public-facing. No, anyone can go the elect.ky.gov. You can go there completely anonymously. The county clerk utilized applications. Yeah, you have to have that COT credential to log in.
Okay, thank you.
All right, do we have any other questions from the committee? Yes, sir.
Just got 2 quick ones. You were talking about your internal IT team. How many members do you have on the State Board of Elections internal IT team?
10,
Ish. Yeah.
10,
Okay.
maybe 11. We've hired,
And they
more
report-
recently hired another.
And they report internally to SBE and not to COT, or is there some kind of dotted line or dual report?
They report directly to me
Okay.
and the administration team at SBE.
And
Yes.
your private systems, and this might get to what the chairman or senator was asking about, the private systems, do all of those require MFA authentication when they're logging in?
For the county clerk piece, the Citrix, I believe there is, since I don't do that myself, I believe there is a multi-authentication that they have to go through. And the reason I believe that is sometimes they get locked out and they have to
Okay.
call us and we have to reset, work with COT to reset. So,
Okay. Thank you.
but I could make sure of
Yeah,
that.
I think that'd be critical because we're
Okay.
seeing a lot of the breaches that were happening, like with Change Healthcare recently. It was somebody didn't have their MFA turned on, and that's how they got in. So I think that'd be good to know.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I sincerely appreciate this conversation, and I appreciate the offer for in-depth conversation, because I think a lot of my concerns would be in regards to security, because there's so much private information that's being shared or available through these databases. You made a reference, I think on 2 different occasions, about the identified non-threat countries. And so obviously if there's non-threat countries, then there are threat countries. So if you can talk a little bit about the segregation, what the process is for segregation, I mean from an electronic perspective.
I can give you a layman's.
Okay, sure,
yeah.
sure.
There are the usual suspects, I guess.
Of course.
That we could all, China, Russia, Cuba,
course.
et
Yes,
cetera. That users from those countries, I'm sure sophisticated users know how to get around
Sure.
all that. But if the average individual threat actor from those countries tried to access the systems, they would get whatever error code that is. I want to say 404, but I don't. Again, I'm not the IT guy, but absolutely welcome to have that one-on-one with our IT guy and
Okay.
yourself and anyone else that would like to be part of those discussions.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, if you could help us set that up, I would appreciate it.
Yes.
All right, great, thank you.
If I may add one other thing that, our IT team, and particularly when the portal opens, it'll open September 21st. Our IT team during election time is pretty much 24/7. They divide themselves up into, a schedule of making sure they're watching all of our systems 24/7. In the period of time that you would imagine there could be, a bad actor come in. But that's another place I have to commend them. I mean, they are so dedicated to ensure that we have the top of line security.
Absolutely. As
all
an
the
end
time.
user and as a user of these applications and as a user of the voter registration, that whole process, then we want to make sure that that's one of the most secure because of all the personal information that we want to be used in order to make sure that we're American citizens and that we are eligible and meet all the criteria to vote. So I certainly do hope that there's and expect there to be a lot of security. So thank you.
The other piece of that as well is we are constantly updating our systems. This isn't something that we have these systems and we don't. We've made updates to the absentee portal for the primary, and our staff is doing the same thing. Again, ensuring a lot of these protections are in place. Upgrading. Recently, we upgraded the Voter Information Center to be able to include when the voter goes in, they can see their election day polling locations. Pieces like that we do all year round. And just because there's not an election scheduled right now for 2025, we will be doing the same thing in preparation for 2026.
Yeah, as diligent as the white hats are, the black hats are more diligent. And so they're out there working 24/7 to make sure that they have access to our information and can exploit it every opportunity that they have. So, I'm very familiar with that in my previous employment and my previous jobs regarding cybersecurity. So it's a crucial topic for all of us. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, Senator Williams?
Yes, follow-up. So do you control the historic voter data, and it's sold to third parties? And do you realize what kind of if you do control it, if you are the one selling it, what kind of revenue do you realize from it, and what kind of restrictions do you put on its use with those third parties or the dissemination?
So I'll let Ms. Sellers answer the what kind of income stream that is for us. I don't know, but
you do control the data.
we do.
All the historic data.
And the statute, I apologize, I can't quote it off the top of my head right now, what the KRS is, but the statute does say that information is to be furnished to the parties, candidates, and anyone that might be supporting a constitutional amendment or a wet dry, or I imagine this new medicinal cannabis local option election will fall under that too. We have to give it to those parties and under the statute, and then anyone else is at the board's discretion. And since 2020, the board's discretion has been that if you don't fall under one of those prescribed categories, we don't release it to you. So
like L2 and Aristotle, they do not purchase data from you?
Unless they are working, if you are an authorized representative of a candidate or a party, you can do that. So if, you'll have to forgive me, I've never run for office. If you were to contract with L2 to do some kind of get out the vote effort or something, and they contacted us, we require, we said we need something on Senator Williams' letterhead that says, I am authorizing L2 or Aristotle or whoever to reach out to you on their behalf to gain the voter information file for this district from this period of time, whatever. But no, we're very sensitive to because we were getting a lot of phone calls. We still do get a lot of phone calls that people, especially in a presidential year, will get a lot of mailing, and that they why am I getting these postcards from candidates that I don't want to get them from? You all are selling my information. And we wanted to be able to say, no, we're not selling your information, other than those statutorily authorized groups. And I don't think it's not a big source of revenue for us.
It is not a big source of revenue for us, and we've even investigated what other states, and we're way below what any other state would charge for that information. So it's very, and it's restricted. I mean, it's not a lot that adds to our budget. Let's put it that way. Not a lot of revenue stream, but we are careful about what the data is that they receive. And like Taylor said, we get calls. They have my cell number. Well, we don't provide any of that. We don't provide email addresses because we don't even request either one of those when someone is a new registrant to vote. That's optional. But we don't provide it if we do sell data to a third, to a candidate or a political organization.
Yeah, I'd love to go on the record. We're not responsible for all the text messages.
Yes.
that you get.
Yes.
Okay. One final. Do you seed or salt those? I presume you have use restrictions for election purposes only, but do you seed or salt those to verify that? Do you have any verification process to ensure that the list is being used for election information by candidates and not by some other third party?
So in the hypothetical I gave you, I would reach out to the L2 to confirm that you are working on Senator Williams' behalf and this is legit. Now, we do not currently, we've discussed it, but we do not currently have any way to watermark the data or anything like that to where if it ends up somewhere else, we can say, well, this came from the L2 request that was on behalf of Senator Williams. We don't have that functionality quite yet.
Thank you very much.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Great presentation. Very happy with the answers that you've been able to provide there. And owing to time, we'll now move on to the Department of Revenue. Thank you.
Thank
You all.
you.
All right, welcome. Please introduce yourself to the record. You may proceed. Green button.
Good morning. I'm Bethany Rice, Executive Director of the Office of Legal Services for Revenue.
Good morning. I'm John Barnes. I'm the Director for Division of Information Management at Revenue.
Okay.
Okay.
You want me to proceed?
Yes, thank you all for the opportunity to come speak to you today. In your request, you had several questions, and I'd like to answer that. But what I really want to emphasize is for the last 4 years, we've been working very hard on what I believe you guys are trying to accomplish here. To answer some of the questions in the invite, we have 22 public-facing applications. Those are for individual and corporate tax filers. Some of these systems are collections, electric vehicle use tax, sales and use, and we have a whole longer list I'll be glad to share with you through whatever that process is.
Yes.
All of these systems are stored at the Commonwealth Office of Technology, COT data centers, and protected by their security infrastructure. Of these systems, of the 22 public-facing, we have 12 that have data going into or out of other systems. Some of this between the DOR and the IRS. We also have what we would consider 43 legacy systems. These are systems such as healthcare provider tax, corporate e-file, streamlined sales tax, and obviously roughly 40 more. Of all of those systems, the public-facing and the legacy, we have 30 what we consider critical systems, such as those just named and telecommunications tax, individual income tax. Again, I can get you a list of names and their functions. However, the thing we're really positive about is these critical and legacy systems will be decommissioned soon, hopefully soon. as their functions and data are currently being transitioned to a new integrated tax system. This new tax system, which is a capital project funded by the legislature, has 3 phases, and we are going live with the first phase in first quarter of 25 calendar year. Some of the key functionality from these ancient systems that we're going to be putting into the integrated tax system are business registration. We're going to have a base tax accounting functionality, and sales and use, corporate, and withholding taxes. There's more to it. We have miscellaneous taxes, as you might know, that we're trying to incorporate. So we're moving forward to the integrated system. We're obviously not where we want to be, but we are heading there, and we're feeling very good. In fact, yesterday we kicked off the train the trainer part of the phase for our first go live. So we are absolutely moving forward. I'm sure you've heard about security. I have been in security for about 40 years. I worked at COT, and the number one thing we do is security. In fact, we have recently, in the last year and a half, kicked off a zero trust security program. I don't know if you're familiar with ZTSM, but that is exactly where we're going. And of course, we work very, very closely with COT. As I said, I've worked there before, and half my staff has worked there before, so we have a very, very good connection to the staff there and their leadership. So that is pretty much the questions that were in the invitation. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have about that.
Good question about your integrated system that you're putting in. Is that in-house developed, or is that with a
No, we're
vendor?
partnering with a vendor,
Okay, who's that vendor?
Revenue Solutions Incorporated, RSI.
Okay, that things that they sold to other states, similar things?
Yes, they're in several other states, Missouri, I think Maryland, Rhode Island, those
Okay.
other ones like that.
Not their first rodeo?
No, no, sir.
Okay. Very good. All right, Senator Williams?
So same question. I'm presuming all your access is not anonymous. What sort of identification, authentication, and authorization do you provide? And MFA, you can address that at this time too. And could you integrate? I know there was a one-stop push. Were you part of that? Could you integrate with the rest of the state in a one-stop type of effort?
Yeah, well, we are part of the business one-stop for our registration. As far as the authentication and everything, we have multiple authentication methods. Some are local accounts for the special, unique systems, and we also go through Active Directory through COT. However, we are currently implementing a single sign-on multi-factor authentication application, and that's going to be part of the integrated tax system project, and we're trying to get some of the other existing legacy systems in it as well, to eliminate some of the, to improve the security of our
Is that
authentication.
via third party?
Yes.
Thank you.
Is there a name for your integrated tax system?
Right now, our code name is DORIS, Department of
DORIS.
Revenue Integrated System.
Okay, that's cool. Are you replacing a number of mainframe as a service that are in a mountain in Colorado somewhere with?
Yeah, yes. We're mainframe is part of the systems we are transitioning.
Okay, so I believe Department of Revenue has probably the oldest systems in the state, right?
It would surprise me if we don't. We absolutely have some of the oldest and disparate systems on multiple technologies.
COBOL.
Yes.
Okay, and so your first phase goes in January 25 when?
First quarter, we're going to be freezing code and things like that later this year, and then trying to establish a go live, understanding some of the tax administration schedules as well.
And you're fully funded with that effort?
For the integrated tax system?
Yes.
Yes, sir. We are roughly 40% through the capital project budget.
Okay, when do you anticipate completion of all phases?
We've recently met with RSI to discuss the Release 2 schedule. We'll be meeting with them over the next several months. I believe, don't quote me on this, and I can get you this information, but when we originally analyzed and planned for all 3 phases, it was like 16 to 18 months per the second and third release, but I can get more confident information to you.
Okay. Beyond the implementation of DORIS here, there are other strategic imperatives that you have to replace legacy systems, or does this clean them all up?
Well, I'm on the ones that weren't included in Release 1 and Release 2 and Release 3. I'm already doing something through regular work, and yes, I am doing that. But all the public facing and the critical ones will be going into DORIS.
So if all goes well, then by, let's say, 2027, all of your legacy systems will be,
That is my
Replaced.
goal, and I intend to make it happen, yes.
okay, excellent, thank you. The other, Senator Williams?
And this was, I was not paying attention. RSI, are they implementing this on our servers at COT or an RSI cloud servers?
These are on premises at COT.
Okay, thank you. And that all the future systems will be like that as well?
I don't know about that. I'm not for or against anything. I'm just haven't addressed it yet, and I'll coordinate with COT when I do that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other members? Okay, well, thank you very much. Great presentation.
Thank you all.
Next up, Department of Fish and Wildlife. Okay, thank you all for being here. If you'll just press your green button and introduce yourselves for the record, and you may proceed as you like.
Good morning. My name's Brian Clark. I'm Deputy Commissioner with the Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Do I need to push it? John Roberts, Branch Manager of IT at Kentucky Fish and Wildlife.
David Bruce, Systems Consultant with IT.
Okay. Y'all can roll on.
I apologize for not having a PowerPoint presentation. I think that would have helped. We do not have any legacy systems, so we came up with answers that applied to all of our public-facing applications with the questions that were asked that we received. And I can talk about our 4 most common public-facing applications as well.
Okay.
How are the applications stored and secured from cyber attacks? Our application servers and networks are managed and secured by the Commonwealth Office of Technology, which has been said by others. Our public-facing applications use encrypted communication via secure connection. Our applications are built using technology supported by Microsoft and using industry-standard programming techniques to prevent cyber attacks. Are there transfers of data or from external entities? We transfer billing contact information to Kentucky Interactive, a subsidiary of Tyler, via a secure interface for processing credit card payments. Kentucky Interactive captures credit card information directly on their website for all of our payment transactions. They follow strict security standards for handling and storing billing and payment information. We provide payment account information for our licensed agents to Kentucky Interactive via a secure interface for financial processing. Game Harvest telecheck records are received and imported from a company that manages our automated phone system for taking in telecheck records. Under legal agreements for specific research and marketing purposes, we provide limited portions of our customer data with research and partner organizations to analyze trends, customer opinions, participation, interest, and other information needed to further the mission of the agency and increase support to our customers. The department specifies the usage and sharing of this data, including their disposal when projects are complete, and these external partners use industry standard security measures. In compliance with Kentucky Open Records Law, we provide data of summaries thereof with personally identifiable information of customers redacted. We also transfer specific customer data to the Commonwealth Office of Technology for conducting drawings for special limited recreational opportunities, such as the Kentucky elk hunt drawing. The terms of these transfers are also governed by agreements between the department and COT. Other state agencies, including Kentucky State Police and the Cabinet for Health and Family Services, have secure access to a customer database to aid in their enforcement efforts. The department's privacy policy is available on our website. The policy explains the customer data is collected and how it is used. Our users of the database charge for use, including any convenience fee. There are no convenience fees associated with accessing our data, and our customers may review their license and permit information free of charge anytime. We do have a 3% issuance fee for the purchase of license and permits, but that's not related to data. Any other information the members may need to know. Our applications serve the public by providing access to various services and information. Security and data integrity are our top priorities, and we adhere to state and industry standards to protect user data. We continuously work to improve the systems based on user feedback and technological advances. Customer service is a high priority for the agency. And so that addressed the questions. I can go over our top 4 public-facing applications. Our first one is SOLAR, which stands for Sportsman's Online Licensing and Reporting. That's used by customers to access and purchase licenses and permits. Our next application is My Profile. That's our customer dashboard. An individual would use the same process for logging into that, which is last name, date of birth, last four social. That would provide them with the information of their license history, harvest history, hunter education, things like that. We also have a harvest data or telecheck review site, and that's used by hunters where they can see what species were harvested in what county, on what date, information about the beard or antler, and it also includes the person that took the harvest, their full name, but it doesn't include address or anything like that. And the last, this qualifies as the way for a group or person to get into public information was our agent portal, and that's the website that's used by our licensed agents to sell a license, and that would give them access to customer data to complete a sale. So, but other than that, I think we're open for questions.
I might just add, those license agents are folks we have contractual agreements with, and they typically are county clerks and retail stores that sell licenses for us.
Okay. So your applications are built in-house or built by COT?
Built in-house, but housed and hosted by COT.
Okay. Glad to hear you say you have no legacy
Correct.
systems.
No legacy systems. Everything is built in .NET, which is still supported. Some individuals do use Microsoft Access, but that's still supported as well. And those aren't public facing, so no legacy applications.
Okay, so servers at COT, no cloud computing, no cloud hosted apps?
I know Kentucky Interactive, they have their sales portal through the cloud. I do think that COT hosts their servers on the cloud.
Okay.
Our SQL Server might be cloud-based, but I'm not certain.
Okay. Do you have any looming strategic concerns about your IT infrastructure?
Yes, I would. The number one thing that concerns us is that we collect the Social Security number, and fortunately, that hasn't been an issue. It's your topic about coming up with a single ID would be great, as long as it would work with things like we take harvest via phone. So if a person types out their number, it could be, if it includes alpha characters, that would be difficult, but that would be fantastic if we could have a single source to verify a person and not require social.
And if I may clarify, we only collect that at first touch. So when somebody comes on board the first time, we get their full social, we don't use it after that. It's last four only, which is an industry standard. Last name, date of birth, last four of social, it's used everywhere to access records, and that's what we use in our profile concept.
Okay. I was trying to remember from doing telecheck if I had to tell them my name. I know I've got to get the.
If you did it via phone, you would type in your social, the full social.
Okay. Gotcha. And that is an application that goes outside?
That is done by a third party, and that information comes to us.
But as phone technology increases and we can move more to an app-based check-in, the phone side may actually die down.
Of course, a lot of the places you're shooting a deer, you may barely
You
be
may
able to
not
get a
have
cell
service.
signal.
That's correct.
Certainly
That
not
is correct.
data, yeah. So
We have a lot of challenges in that respect.
We do have an increasing proportion who do their telecheck reporting, their harvest reporting on their mobile phones. And so I'm not sure the exact proportion or percentage currently, but it's I believe a majority, but it's a significant proportion who are reporting in the field online. And so that way they can go directly into their My Profile and not have to go to the phone vendor application.
I didn't realize that. I'll do that this year. Okay.
Please. Thank you.
And to answer Senator Williams' question more in depth, we looked at the online login, the universal login. In IT, I never like to say never, because it can be done. It would be hard, and we would have a lot of pitfalls and things we would have to work through, because all of our systems are built around that profile concept. But I'll never say never.
So is there anything that we as a committee need to be thinking about for you guys strategically in terms of funding down the road? Any big needs on the horizon?
I want it all. Send it all our way.
Maybe Deputy
not the best
Commissioner
person to
should
answer.
address
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
That's a
Address that
deputy
question.
commissioner answer, yes.
We usually are both commended for being self-sustaining in the sense that our revenues fund our budget as opposed to coming with an ask. But we also do like to take the opportunity to thank the General Assembly for your support, and also to tout not for our own sake, but for the sake of our customers, our end users, and the benefit to the Commonwealth of the economic input that our customers provide. Our hunters, anglers, boaters provide billions of dollars worth of economic inputs into the state's economy, and so we're very thankful for that. And we consider our the revenues we receive as public funds implemented directly into systems that support their participation as a way to give back, as a way to support the Commonwealth through these user fees. So that's all I would say.
The challenge is, and everybody's going to say this, today we may be secure, tomorrow we may not be. And keeping all the systems up to date with limited resource and limited funding, which all agencies deal with, it's a tough task. We do the best we can. We partner with who we can, but it's hard to do. It really is.
Okay. Senator Williams?
And this is a little tangential on the, so you have an increasing policing function, I think, in it with communication needs. And I do believe that you also fund this, you're participating in the state police network. You may fund part of that network. You don't use some of that. Is that a drain on you from a fiscal standpoint? What needs do you have from a communication standpoint, and how's that cooperation going and working with the other agencies and the next generation 911? Because sometimes you're the first responder. Can you just briefly discuss that?
That's a good question, and the portion of the state police radio system that we help to underwrite, it is I will say it's a challenge for us, a fiscal challenge. You know, we are committed to obeying the law, to following that, and meeting our responsibilities there. You may have had conversations with Commissioner Storm to that effect in the past, but at the same time, we do work closely with the other agencies, law enforcement agencies, including state police and local law enforcement, to provide mutual assistance on cases. You may see news releases or alert stories in the media frequently, I mean almost daily, of our officers working together with state police, with other entities, law enforcement agencies, especially locally, to provide assistance to each other on cases. And so that is, especially in rural areas of the state, that is more and more common. And so we take that very seriously. We really do seek to be very mission focused. And recently, with support from the legislature, clarified the job title for our officers as game wardens, being focused on wildlife conservation enforcement. But at the same time, while we have that mission focus, our law enforcement receive, top-notch training and the same POP certification as all the law enforcement officers, and work together with other law enforcement partners. So it's an excellent point. And communication is an important part of that, both radio, telephone, and electronically, to make sure that we're achieving our mission on the enforcement side.
And we actually have that challenge across the board. I mean, you go to the end of the gravel road and you get on the dirt road, and that's where we're at. And we have trouble with staff communications at facilities throughout the state to get them high-speed internet to be able to provide the services that they need for the public and for themselves. So it is a challenge for us as an agency.
That brings up a good question. Are you connected with Kentucky Wired at all? Do they provide any services for your field offices?
No, they do not, that I know of.
Is that something that would be a benefit?
We'll look at all benefits and the cost. We've looked at running hard lines to facilities, and it's just cost prohibitive, to be quite honest. It's very, very expensive. Satellite has not worked out well for us. We're even looking at the new Elon Musk systems to see if that's an improvement. We're constantly looking at all our field staff and all our locations to provide that service.
Yeah. So, comment. LEO is a great improvement over geocentric orbit.
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's probably better milliseconds than you're going to get with landlines.
Yeah, it must
quite
be
frankly.
good because they don't have any equipment in stock.
Yeah, I think there's a international conflict that's probably soaking it up on both sides.
Yes. Yes.
Representative Tate?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you mentioned satellite, and I don't think that you meant, because obviously communication is very important and time is critical. So do your field agents have satellite phones? Do they have access to satellite phones?
ma'am.
Oh, gotcha. So would there be benefit in them having access to satellite phones? I mean, lots of anglers, lots of people that are in the wildlife and do hiking and go out to the external areas do use satellite phones.
I can't answer that question from a law enforcement aspect. Any communication channel, and the communication channels are getting better. The cellular
Gotcha, okay.
networks are getting better. We're even looking at other options of smartphone devices that have information stored on them that don't need cellular network or satellite signal. So we're constantly looking at options to improve both officer safety and customer safety.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Assume you guys are on FirstNet, so
Yes,
yeah,
that's
okay.
correct.
Which pretty good out in
Pretty
most
good.
of the hollers around
It
here.
is.
Yeah.
It's- We,
Okay.
we haven't got it there yet, but it's close.
Pretty good. Okay. All right. Any other questions for these folks? Well, as a customer for many years of Fish and Wildlife, I'd like to say I've always been pleased with your online offerings and easy to use. And I'm glad to know there's an online app to check my deer in this year, so I won't be giving my Social Security on the phone anymore.
Absolutely.
Thank you all very much. And I would be remiss if I didn't brag on our IT team. We've had a small group for many, many years, and it's even smaller now, but they do a fabulous job for us and for the customer. So we're very thankful for them.
Great to
And
hear.
thank you all.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next and final presenter is the Department of Professional Licensing. Got an awful lot of Kentuckians that have a license for their business or profession that interact with y'all. Hi. Morning. Just press your green button and introduce yourself for the record, and you may begin.
All right. Well, good morning. My name is Kristen Lawson. I'm the Commissioner for the Department of Professional Licensing. We're one of the departments that is housed under the Public Protection Cabinet, and we provide administrative and fiscal services for 25 professional licensing boards and registries, along with fiscal services for 4 other boards. So basically, our application is all in-house. We don't have any legacy systems. The main, I would say, public-facing areas are what we call DPL e-services. So through e-services, that's a place for professional licensees who have their services with us to apply for licenses, renew licenses, update their contact information, along with, depending on their requirements, some of them have to do their supervisory affiliations through that, track their CE requirements, manage any other affiliations that they may have, along with verification requests from other states. The other front-facing portion we have is just the license verification, where the public can come on to our website and look up the current license status for any of the licensees that are that receive services from our department. Everything else is more of a back office application. We have what we call DPL production, and that's where our board specialists, of course, maintain information for our licensees, create their licenses, track correspondence, complaints, case management, all that kind of information. All of the application servers are managed and monitored by COT. We follow the Enterprise Network Security Architecture Policy and the Enterprise Information Security Program Policy set forth by COT. Data is transmitted to other state agencies and external entities via secured means. We don't have any convenience fees other than the credit card and processing fees for Kentucky Interactive when those are utilized. All of our system and applications are developed and managed by the Public Protection Cabinet's Office of Information Technology. And again, there's no legacy systems, so it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, so you represent 25 boards, but probably not some of the big ones like real estate and medical and things like that, do they?
So the Kentucky Real Estate Authority is affiliated with our department. We do their fiscal administration and their HR. We do not provide the administrative services to the Kentucky Real Estate Authority. So we tend to have more of professional licensing boards that are a little smaller and could not basically wouldn't have the ability to stand on their own. So they're all kind of like grouped under our department, and we kind of share the resources of my staff and everything in order to provide those services. They go into agreements with us in order to provide those. We have a lot of the mental health boards, so like professional art therapists, licensed professional counselors. We have the chiropractors. So
Sounds like you've got all the appropriate data security and COT standards in place. Not to ask you to speak for these other boards, but the non-affiliated boards, are their licensing online customer-facing apps similar to what you've got?
I could not speak for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else got questions?
I'm going to ask the same question about identification, authentication, authorization, and one-stop and MFA.
Now, I don't know about the one-stop. I wouldn't be qualified to speak on that. We do have MFA for the e-services. That's where the licensees log in to maintain their information and, renew their license and all that. So they do have MFA as far as that. The license verification, of course, that's open to the public, and, that only has public information that's on it.
Thank you.
Anything looming on the horizon that's IT need, budget need for you guys? Or are you self-funded from your numbers?
We are funded from our boards, yes.
Okay.
So no, the main needs that we have are things that we're working on internally, just trying to modernize some of these boards that have been needing to get modernized. So
All right. Are your customers happy?
sometimes and
Sometimes?
sometimes not.
Okay.
But we work really hard like I said, some of the boards are still on paper for their applications, so we're working with our IT team and trying to get them more here into the 21st century as much as possible.
Okay. Senator Williams?
So do you have your own CIO, or do you rely on the another CIO? Do you have a CIO that reports to you for these?
We use the CIO for public protection cabinet, so
Thank you.
I wouldn't say he reports. I report to him.
All right. Seeing no other questions, I thank you very much for your presentation today.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your service. And that concludes our agenda. So our next meeting is August 14th at 10 a.m., chaired by Senator Williams. There's no further meeting before the committee. Take a motion for adjournment. All right. Second? Okay. We stand adjourned. Thank you.